uh, due to audio difficulties in our pre-recorded version of the MTA football mini analysis. We have decided to do live stream live from our studios in Bromhill, Brooklyn. As you guys know, uh, we're gonna start off with thanking our fans of the day. We have 1010 wins on Juliet Papa. We have two fellow YouTube, Periscope, and Twitter contributors. Our own Andy Pollack and our own Matt Camper. Thank you guys for being my fans of the day. So the day started off with a return of a certain individual that has a history with the MTA since Joe Lola was chairman back in 2012. Even way beyond Joe Lola's tenure. And who are we talking about? Da, 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 da. Here it is. William Stanford Jr., known as Mr. X. He decided to return after almost a 2 year missing in action. Because the last time that we recall seeing him was when former chairman and CEO of the MTA, Tom Prendergast, gave his last board meeting back in January of last year. And the meeting started with some unfortunate news. And we reported that Chairman Joe Lola announced that James Vidiello, who represents Dutchess County, has resigned of the MTA board since last Thursday. Um, Answering Matt Capper's question on his live stream, James Viviello was a board member that several months ago, a couple of months ago actually, did an unfortunate comment regarding the riders on the Long Island Railroad. But finally, he is uh, he is out. We're not gonna play William Stanford Jr.'s speech nor Tony Murphy's speech because those links are in the description below. And of course, we had New York One's own Jose Martinez that he was he tweeted at 8:38 in the morning. I'm hearing from extremely high-ranking sources that Mr. X, a long MIA, in other words, missing in action legend of the MTA public speaking section, has returned today's board meeting. This is huge. X clearly knows that is the greatest day of the month, version 2.0. And that version, that highly ranked source, of course, was me. And uh and then Jose Martinez tweeted 5 hours ago, my extremely high ranking source has chosen to unmask himself. I replied to him, of course, since I didn't receive the credit. So, continuing along the lines, of course, we had Congressman Adriano Espaillat giving over 2 minute speech regarding phase two of Second Avenue Subway, and we spoke to him pretty briefly after his speech. We we congratulate his speech, and of course we had our own contributor Andy Pollack saying, "Let's get the second phase of Second Avenue Subway done," and absolutely. And of course, we started to receive around 12 hours ago the still developing story of the suspicious package. And then we had Jose Martinez tweeting again. MTA chair 90, Joe 99 Problems Lola is teasing the agency financial outlook and is not pretty. Says he does not want to go down the road of the 2009, or in other words 2010 doomsday service cuts and big fare hikes, adds that the best option for the MTA is new revenue streams. And of course, Jose Martinez tweeted there are 40 public speakers today at MTA's board meeting, and seems that Congressman Adriano Espaillat has no interest in limiting his remarks to 2 minutes. He's speaking about phase two of Second Avenue. So, and of course, we had this from him quoting Mr. X, bringing back the 80s. And of course, wow, Mr. X just name dropped the fabulous Mullah Bob Backlund in the Golden Boy Arnold Shah's land and insulted half of the room. Loda replies, thank you, Mr. Sanford. And of course, Jose Martinez tweeted at 9:15, Mr. Chairman, we have 40 public speakers today, and Mr. X is first, and he's off riding with the sexist jabs at COOs Ronnie Hakem and New York City DOT's director Polly Trottenberg. And of course, he replied, this confirmed Mr. X is in attendance today. He's kindly not did not refer me as Drew Carey or make any sexist cracks about miniskirts or kitchens. And then we retweeted the suspicious package found in the Clintons' house in Chappaqua. And I had to take this picture because this is once in a lifetime. And that is that New York City Transit President Andy Byford and MTA Bus Senior Vice President Dow Eric are listening to a disabled rider. That's a good thing. And speaking of Dow Eric is a well-known, respected authority inside the MTA. He has the same amount of years that I have, but he has it inside New York City Transit, being the head of MTA Bus. And we had this tweet from Connecticut rail commuters that posted, "Why does the new Metro North Way Ahead plan have no mention of Connecticut?" But of course, we had MTA spokesperson John Weinstein said, "Yeah, this so this is in true at all. In fact, if you actually read the report, you'll find 66 new M8s, tree trimming, better information, PTC, that means positive train control, smart track, and lots of other initiatives for Connecticut riders." And then Connecticut rail riders replied to John saying, "True, but why doesn't the plan mention working with Connecticut DOT, which is responsible of Connecticut's ops?" Oh, we have to see this. Actually, as we speak at 9:40 in the evening, we're watching Cuomo Prime Time from our studios, and Chris Cuomo is going to interview his brother, Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo. And then also we tweeted this for Max Tanny that Shun Prakash reported that the CNN headquarters in New York had to be evacuated. And here we see CNN Newsroom's own Poppy Harlow and Jim Shudo reporting from the um, outside the headquarters at 58th between 8th and 9th Avenue. Continuing with the MTA board, um, Jose Martinez posted the link regarding the state controller's report, but obviously the MTA avoided not to mention the city controller's Scott Granger report regarding the fare tolls. The fare decrease on the Land Railroad and Metro North within the city limits. And I tweeted this 11 hours ago. And I spoke pretty briefly with Logan Rebel, President Philip N. regarding incident yesterday that my fellow contributor Matt Camper reported, and he told me that he's going to look into it. I wrote loom. I meant look into it. And of course, this is wonderful news with for New York City Transit riders, and is that the MTA board managed to approve the expedited order for the R211s that are going to replace the R46. But let's hold this transmission for a moment and uh, let's listen to Chris Cuomo.
While we were all learning about it, there was already a lot that had been learned. Authorities had found other explosive devices all around the country, sent to the Obamas, the Clintons, a congresswoman, and more. And this was after one had been sent to George Soros, the big Democratic fundraiser and the private capital maven. All right, how do I know this? My brother is the governor of the state, Andrew Cuomo. He was alerted about what was happening, but people haven't heard just how far in advance and how in depth all of this was, and I want him to tell us that tonight, so he's on the show. Gov, can you hear me? How are you, little brother? Thought I didn't have you there for a second. It's good to have you, Gov. Thank God you were safe and everything was okay with you in the office this morning. Tell us what you learned and when.
You too. Well, the first bombing was the Soros bombing, right? Receiving the bomb on Monday. And basically, everybody held their breath. To use a frightening analogy, for me, it reminded me of when the first plane hit the World Trade Center 9/11. And you said, well, maybe it's just an aviation accident. And then the second plane hit. The Soros receipt of the bomb, people investigated, etc. But we really didn't know what it meant. Last night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, the Secret Service notified the state of police that the residents of the Clintons had intercepted a bomb. And that's when we knew it wasn't just one situation. This was probably going to be a pattern. We worked on it last night with the state police and the Secret Service, who were magnificent, and JTTF. I went past the Clinton's residence at 4:30 to speak to the Secret Service this morning, and everything was in order. But at that point, you knew, I felt there was going to be more to come. And then, as we know, you had the Obamas, you had the CNN bomb, etc. So the first hope was it was a one-off. It was just George Soros, and that was terrible. But obviously, this pattern is even much, much worse.
Well, thank God nobody was hurt, and now they're trying to assess whether these bombs were functional, and that means you've got to get the guy or the people who were involved with it because there could be more, or if it was just meant to look like something that could have been functional, and that's bad enough, and then they go fine. So then you have the larger context that we're all struggling with here, which is maybe it had nothing to do with our political environment. But even if it did have nothing to do with it, even though that'd be one hell of a coincidence, because everyone targeted is somebody that the president targets, it's still a moment for us to, out of fear, look around at what's going on. Everyone I talk to is all about both sides, both sides, both sides. When it comes to Republicans, they will not call out the president. And he had his opportunity tonight. He is who he is. Let's leave him to the side. Why do you tell my audience tonight that they should have hope that anything better can come from their political dialogue?
Well, first, let's hit the first part of your question first. The first step is the investigation, the manhunt, JTTF, fingerprints, videotapes, find out who did it. The next step is secure the public. We brought out more National Guard, more state police, crossings, etc. so people feel secure. The third step is what you're now talking about. Let's look at what really happened. People call this domestic terrorism. I think we need a new word. Terrorism we normally equate with the tension between this nation and another nation. Even domestic terrorism is normally referred to as a lone wolf operating within this country, but in the interest of a foreign country. That's not what this is. This is political terrorism. This is American terrorism. This is red versus blue terrorism. And that we have never seen before. I think this president certainly missed an opportunity tonight. An opportunity for himself and a responsibility for the country. He could have really stepped up and been the leader that the people want him to be. He could have been the president of the United States. Michael Eugene wrote a book, The Leadership Moment, that says sometimes leadership comes when the moment presents itself. He had that moment today. He missed that moment. And as a matter of fact, I believe he reinforced the negative. If you listen to his words, there's sharp divides, an important election, days away, the media is to blame. It's almost as if he can't bring himself to admit his error, and he can't take his foot off the gas. He wants to fire up his base for the election. That's what this is. Let's be honest. He needs a big turnout. He doesn't want to lose the Congress. He wants to fire up his base, and he's firing up his base. The lesson here is when you spread that much hate, that much venom, mob, chaos, bad people, there are people who are affected by that. We're emotional beings. And in this society, you can download from the internet how to build a bomb. And when you are spreading that hate, it's almost inevitable that someone or some group is going to feed off. Now, I just listened to your great debate. Step one is bring down the tone. Don't argue about it. Bring down the tone. If he won't bring down the tone, then the other leaders have to bring down the tone. And I don't believe he will. You can have a disagreement. You can have a forceful disagreement. But it's not ad hominem. It's not mean. It's not do or die. It's not you have to be punished. Otherwise, this does not stop. This does not stop. This is a terrorism that is more frightening than any other terrorism we've seen. There's a responsibility, brother. Thank you very much, leader, not just the president. Are you cutting understood, little brother? And that's as true as anything else. I am. I got to get the break, Governor. But thank you very much. I'll make it up to you. Thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it. Thank God you and yours were okay today. I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you're safe and tell Jeff Zucker. I'm glad you're safe and tell Jeff Zucker he did a great job the way CNN handled this today. Will do. Take care. Now, obviously, my brother is the governor of New York. It's also fair to point out we all remember what happened with Steve Scalise and what that man's state of political.
Obviously, we just listened to the Cuomo brothers being in Princess Cuomo's program as we speak. So let's continue our with our live stream and obviously we had the opportunity to once again to speak with MTA Director Jan Lieber regarding inside access, and he confirmed to me that inside access will be updated monthly in the Long Island Railroad Committee and quarterly at CPOC to see the the progress regarding CPOC. And uh, this tweet we sent it out when we was at covering already what happened at the CNN headquarters, and we spotted speaking of food, because in the press conference, our beloved Wall Street, the New York Times reporter Emma Fitzsimmons mentioned about food eating, people eating food in the subway. We tweeted this. We spotted New NBC4 New York's own Andrew Seth in the Whole Foods at the Time Warner Center, having money thrown away eating the expensive buffet of Whole Foods. Andrew Seth told me that was the $8.99 buffet. Uh, that's a lie, because self disclosure. Um, right now, work in the Whole Foods or for another company, and the price of the buffet is not $8.99. It's $9.99 a pound. And then returning to returning to subject, who was who wasn't amazed today was transportation, the TWU leader John Samuelson, who said, "I think this board should move to enact rules of decorum." Here's the thing, though. Uh, as a matter of fact, a year ago, um, I called out Murray Bonin last year, and I was called out by MTA board member Peter Ward. And at that time, we lost some support from the MTA board, but unfortunately, we obtained that support back. So we have those MTA board members back in our territory. And let's see. And then here's the interesting part regarding Jimmy Viriello. Uh, Dana Rothstein from Political uh, tweeted out this, and we're gonna read the whole article that she wrote for Political. As Marnau representative resigns from MTA board, board loses an outspoken voice. We're not gonna read the whole article because of time constraints, but it's more than clear that James Viviello had ties with John Marinaro, Marinaro, I should say, and that created a potential conflict of interest because, as you guys know, Mark Marinaro he's running against Andrew Mark Cuomo for being the next governor of the state of New York. And obviously, James Viviello, he was the until last week the chair of the audit committee, and now that position is passed to Putnam County Representative Neil Zuckerman. But regarding James Riello, we didn't have his support whatsoever. So, but they got in a personal loan. Thank God that he's out of the long run of the MTA. And of course, let's go back a little bit. And we're going to go to Emma's feed. And of course, Jose Martinez posted this. The quote of the day of the greatest day of the month came from New York City Transit President Andy Byford. And he replied what he has seen Eden in the London Tube. And we quote, you you do see people eating burgers. Eating a burger, I get it. On a Friday night, you get the munchies. This comment came into in a response from Emma Fitzsimmons mentioning roast chicken stinky food. And of course, right after that, um, Joe Loda says he has seen someone eating Popeye's fried chicken in the subway. And I quote, I'm equally offended as Andy. It's about seeing people drop the remains on the floor. It is not necessary. It is unfortunate. We need to be more considerate to our fellow New Yorkers. And of course, the other headlines that that we have is regarding Paul Berger. Once again, he is making headlines. And what did Paul Berger did this time? This article that was published today in the Wall Street Journal. And it says MTA Laura says he isn't leaving, despite speculation to the contrary. People should stay off his case because we need him, says one supporter. And in this one, we're gonna read the whole article. Joe Lora says he isn't going anywhere. The Metropolitan Transportation Authority chairman, whose future has been the subject of speculation as the agency struggles through a difficult year, said Wednesday he hasn't considered it leaving the post. My term ends in July 10th, 2021, Joe Lota said in a news conference following the board meeting at the MTA headquarters in Lower Manhattan. Over the past year, Joe Lota has steered the MTA through crisis while sparring with New York City Mayor Warren Wilhelm Jr. and pairing allegations of conflicts of interest over his business ties. Some of his associates have wondered how much longer he will remain after the November 6th election when Governor Andrew Mark Cuomo, who appointed him, is expected to win a third term. Many people say that when the election's over, Joe is going to go elsewhere. One MTA board member said in an interview earlier this month. Joe Lowell thought about resigning earlier this year, according to people familiar with the matter. He talked with the Cuomo administration regarding stepping down after a February story on Political.com that highlighted Joe Lowell's potential conflict of interest related to his paid board seat on the company that owns Madison Square Garden. Joe's view of it was if I'm more independent than I'm in an assistance, I'm happy to walk away from this, said one of the people. On Wednesday, Joe Lota denied that he has contemplated stepping down or disgusted with the Cuomo administration. The premise is wrong, Joe Lota said in a response to a question in the subject made by Paul Berger from the Wall Street Journal. I did not consider resigning from the MTA. A spokesman from the Cuomo administration who didn't respond to questions regarding Joe Lola's tenure said that the chairman was chosen to stabilize the subway and revamp the MTA's leadership And that's exactly what he's done. The MTA, which Andrew Mark Cuomo controls, has been a sore spot for the Democratic governor. His opponents on the governor's race has blamed the agency problems with riders as well as the project delays and cost overturns on his 8 year stewardship. To many, including some of his critics, Joe Lula has been effective. He has overseen a 800 million subway rescue plan that transit officials said stabilized the system decline. He has hired a raft of executives to overhaul departments, and he has encouraged debate among board members, setting up working groups for issues as runaway construction costs, even procurements. Joe Lola has also been capable of tormental of Warren Wilhelm Jr., a foil of Andrew Mark Cuomo, who beat Joe Lola, who ran as a Republican in the 2013 mayoral race. Unlikely, unlike his predecessors, Joe Loda has insisted that legally New York City owns the subway and should pay more for his upkeep. Joe Loda has been criticized, however, for holding positions outside the MTA chairmanship, which in recent years has been full-time role. The agency doesn't pay him the token $1 annually salary announced at his hiring, according to an MTA spokesman. But Joe Loda has held on his full-time job as senior officer at a major hospital network, NYU Langone Health, with a whopping salary of $1.6 million and duties that include lobbying. He has also occupied paid positions inside several boards, including the company that owns Madison Square Garden, which pays him a minimum of $160,000 a year. The arena sits atop of Penn Station, a hub for the MTA's Long Island Railroad, and two of its busiest subway stations. The 34th Street Penn Station on the Broadway 7th Avenue lines 1, 2, and 3 trains, and on the 8th Avenue line A, C, and E trains. And of course, uh, the company who is doing the ESI work at Penn Station has ties with, of course, Loda. Joe Loda has said he's delegated day to day responsibilities to handpick senior officials that has per diem worker. For example, as the MTA president, he selected former court unauthorized director Pat Foy. As you guys know, Pat Foy, on his last meeting as the executive director of the Port Unauthorized of New York and New Jersey, he passed in front of my face and in front of also my fellow contributor Omar Vera a whooping 10-year capital plan worth $26 billion that includes air train to LaGuardia Airport, but from the Flushing Main Street, uh, my mistakes, from the Met Willis Point complex on the 7th and on the Port Washington branch. And he appointed the former at the time New York City Transit President Ronnie Hinckham to be the Chief Operating Officer or COO. And then Joe Lora at that time doing the Genius Challenge events. He discovered this person who we adore and respect to be the next New York City Transit president. And who is that person? Andy Byford. And let's continue. And he said that he is entitled to hold paid positions outside. He has said he has recused himself whenever there's a conflict of interest. Watchdog groups have logged conflict complaints with the state oversight bodies, which so far has come to naught. Some in the business community hope that Joe Lora stays longer. He has really restored a level of trust in the MTA that hasn't been there for a while, said Catherine Rowley, who runs a nonprofit promoting the city business interests. People should stay off of his case because we need him. Of course, it is no strange that Paul Berger, again, Paul Berger, always brings up the conflicts of interest of Joe Oda. And this is not the first time that he does it. And of course, Dana Rubinstein from Political asked an interesting question. regarding Monahan Station. But of course, Joe Loda couldn't respond to that question because and the question was if Amtrak police and MTA police are going to be having collaboration regarding Monahan Station, and obviously one of the let's try to let's listen
on
in.
Manhattan, we're still waiting.
Let's look for see, it had to be Dana. Let's hear Dana Rubinstein's question again, shall we? See, obviously, Joe Loda, at the time of the press conference, avoided, in other words, couldn't answer Dana Rubinstein's question regarding Monahan Station's involvement of MTA police and Amtrak in wake of what happened uh, north of Monahan at Columbus Circle. And obviously, we streamed the whole press conference in our Periscope channel. So those of you who follow me on Periscope, there's your answer. Joe Lola didn't answer to Dana's Rufstein question because obviously, since day one, we have denounced the conflict of interest. But he is still there. And of course, we have one of our contributors sending me this picture of it looks like a S79, so that bus service on the back, and then we did the coverage regarding the situation over there at Columbus Circle. And as a reminder, starting next month, we will be doing a live stream regarding the MTA committee meetings only, and then the full board. Of course, we will have to watch the video. That we could do that between after I get out from work around 5 p.m. And then when we get over here to headquarters around 7 to 8 o'clock, we could do a reaction video or a react or we don't know what we could do at this point. But is 10:24 in the evening on this Wednesday, October 24th. We want to thank everybody for joining me on this Wednesday night. Remember to stay tuned on Twitter at JasonBXNY0619. You can follow my contributors, Matt Camper at Matt Camper 1994, and Andy Pollack at Andy Ramdesness, Omar Vera, Andy Quinto, Vince Arena, all my fellow contributors that uh, as a tag team we are doing the best that we can. And we want to thank them for that. Uh, and before we wrap up, remember next month on we will have Matt Camper speaking on the Long Island Railroad Committee meeting and handing us a very good speech regarding the frustration that he has to deal with every single day when he takes the Long Island Railroad from his home station over there at Merck. And we're gonna hear from him personally his daily frustration as a Long Island Railroad commuter and what is that he is going to tell the MTA Long Island Railroad Committee and to the Long Island representative of the MTA in the board, Mitch Halley. So that'll be November 13th, starting at 9:30 a.m. We will have Matt Camper and obviously with us in Long Island Railroad and New York City Transit. Meanwhile, we will continue to cover all the rest of the meetings that going to cover Metro North, Long Island Railroad, Transit, Finance, and CPOC. So thank you very much to everybody for joining us on this Wednesday night. And I hope that everybody enjoys their night.